What is up, golf sickos? My coffee tastes extra delicious this morning because I'm the champ. I'm the club champion at my beloved Brentwood Country Club. I won it yesterday, 36-hole final. We're going to talk all about that. It was a 2-weekend ordeal. I didn't know I had it in me, to be honest with you. We're also going to talk about what's been going on recently with golfers who are a lot better than I am. Ben Griffin winning in Mexico, his third win of the season. Extremely impressive for a mortgage loan officer. That's a joke because he hates how people just think of him as like a mortgage loan officer. It's like, oh, played at UNC. I was pretty good at golf. We joked about that when we had him on the show. Really good tournament over in Abu Dhabi. Aaron Rai beating Tommy Fleetwood, who is just a mainstay on the top of leaderboards right now. Rory finished tied for third, one shot out of the playoff. He's in good shape to win another race to Dubai, which I think would make a very interesting Player of the Year conversation. We're going to get into that. Going to react to some of the LIV stuff that's happened in the last week or two, namely them switching away from 54 holes to 72 holes, despite the literal name of LIV Golf, LIV, being the Roman numeral for the number 54. We're also going to talk about what they're going to do as far as signing players this offseason, and then some of their dealings with the LPGA and how we're kind of seeing the control group in real time as far as this is what the way that the Saudis and the public investment fund have been able to get their feet into women's golf is the way that they wanted, I think, to go with the men's game, but it obviously has not. All right, but let's start with a little pat on the back for myself because I've got an interesting relationship with the game of golf. Obviously, it's a huge part of my life. I've been covering the sport at the highest level for a long time now, and I feel very fortunate to do that. But I also play a ton of golf, and I love playing golf. And it always was very strange to me when I would be in media centers and I would talk to other people, other writers or whatever it might be, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I don't really play much." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, why? How could you watch this sport all day, every day, and then just like not want to play?" All I do when I see a tournament, when I go watch the best players in the world, is I want to use some of that stuff for my own game. But I've always been a good player. Like when I was in high school, I was around scratch, but I was kind of a soft scratch. I'd hit it really wild, and I was kind of a mental nutcase out there, and didn't like putting 3-footers, and I've the last couple of years, really since I moved home to LA, I've gotten a lot more solid. My index has only dropped like a shot and a half or 2 shots, but like my game travels better. I'm tougher, but I've been in this kind of weird in between in golf where, I'm not good enough to make a run in the US Mid-Am, especially when it's the failed former Tour Pro Open, when it's all former touring professionals like it was this year. 6 out of the 8 quarterfinalists were reinstated former Tour Pros. Bobby Jones is rolling over in his grave. We got to save the Mid-Ams. That's a whole other tangent that I've made and will continue to make because I think it's an epidemic, and I think we need to sort it out. So I'm a very good golfer, but I was not good enough to play Division I golf, really. I was not, when I did my Mid-Am qualifier earlier this year, I knew I had to play my ass off to just, make it to the Mid-Am, and that would be incredible. And then, making it to match play was, it's just not in there really, right now at least. Maybe it will be soon. I don't know. Belief is a hell of a drug, but I was in this weird in-between. But the club championship is sort of like my Masters because I felt like I could actually win it. A guy who's probably the best player at our club was not playing this year for whatever reason, but you can only beat the people that are in front of you. And for people like me, the club championship is the Masters, especially at a place like Brentwood Country Club, which I grew up at. My dad was a member there before I was born. I live right next to the course. That's where I'm a member. I'm there all the time. I work out there often. I eat lunch there. I play golf there all the time. I have the original logo. I'm going to show you guys tattooed. How do I get that? That's the Brentwood Country Club crest, the original one. So I started getting really nervous ahead of this club championship because I felt like I actually had a chance to win because I knew my game was solid. I played my home course really well, and the best player wasn't playing. But again, you can only beat who's in front of you. And it was a two weekend ordeal. So there was a stroke play qualifier. 20 guys signed up. Top 8 would get to match play. That was last Saturday. So 9 days ago, I shot 78. I had no idea where the ball was going. I had 2 hands on the wheel is the way I describe it, just squeezing, just trying to get the ball in the house. I felt like I had no control over it. But I qualified 5th, I think. And then the first round, the quarterfinals, was last weekend on Sunday. I won 2-1. in a match where I again shot like 76, was just really not playing well, had no idea where the ball was going, two-way miss. I would call my golf swing a random number generator at that point because I would just swing and it would go where it would go. I didn't have a feel, I didn't have a plan, I didn't have a shot shape, I didn't have an idea. But I got through, so I was into the semis, and then this last week, I was like, I got to figure it out. I got to figure out my ball striking because I'm in the semis. I feel like I haven't played my best, but I know I'm going to need to reach another level to win this tournament, and I did. And I have to give a ton of credit to Brady Riggs, who I just saw was named a Golf 100 top teacher. He's been on a bunch of those lists forever. I got a lesson with Brady on Friday, so the day before my semifinal match, and it turns out it's all set up. You watch the best players in the world. Scotty Scheffler, I guess, is the best example of this. And what is he constantly checking? His setup. He wants to make sure his alignment good. He's got that grip tool that he always uses, that he's checking his grip. I know how to swing a golf club, but if you put yourself in a terrible position in the setup, and what I do is I get super left with my shoulders, and then I don't turn my lower body, and I get really steep, my hands get really high, and then I get really these choppy divots, and it's really quite gross. Like when I play bad, it can get kind of ugly. Some mishits in there, but we fixed my setup and it changed absolutely everything. I mean, I played with Patrick Rogers, not last week, but the week before, and he shot 64 his first time seeing the golf course. I shot 76 or something, and I play there every day, and I've never felt worse at golf in my life. Patrick's obviously amazing. He finished 6th this week in Mexico, and he's an awesome guy. But I just felt like a chump. I just felt like I had no control over the ball. It's just amazing how the smallest tweaks in this game, just putting your body in a better position to make a more efficient motion, can change everything, and it changed everything. So I woke up Saturday. My wife's out of town this weekend. She was at a wedding in Bermuda, so I was home alone, just thinking about it all weekend. Woke up on Saturday and played maybe the best round I've ever played, considering the circumstances. I made 6 birdies in 13 holes. I was 5 under through 13, and obviously, in these club championships, you're playing the course as hard as it can play all the way back. And I won 7 and 5 on Saturday. So that got me through to the final, 36-hole final against a guy who's won it 8 times. He's like 35, 36. I've known him since we were kids. He's an amazing player. He's accomplished a lot more in golf than I have. I haven't won anything in golf before this. And that's what I think makes this victory so, I haven't won anything. Going back to high school, I didn't win. If I had a good tournament, Southern California, I'd finish in the top 10. But, winning something, it doesn't happen in golf. And this is what you hear all these guys. They say, you have to savor the victories because they're so rare. That feeling I had after winning the match, I really feel like I won the Masters. I genuinely feel like I won the Masters. I'm so incredibly, happy and proud of myself. I didn't know that I had it in me. Especially, I was 4 down after the first 18. So I shot 75 the first 18, only made 1 birdie. He shot 69. I had a putt on the 18th hole of the day before a lunch break to get to 3 down, like a 7-footer for birdie. I missed it. I was like, oh my God, I would have felt like that would have given me such momentum going into the second 9 or going into the second 18. Missed it. Luckily, I live really close to the golf course, so I was able to drive back home, take a shower, let my dogs out, change my clothes, just sort of reset, and won the first, third, and fourth holes, and it was game on. And made a long putt on the 7th hole. I think this is the only one we have on video, which is kind of amazing because there were a lot of people out there, but everyone was just locked in. That got me to 1 down, I think. Then I won 9 with a birdie to go 1 up, and then I won 11 with a birdie. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I remember I birdied 7, 9, 11, and then I parred the rest of the holes. Only missed 1 green, and I did it. I won the club championship at the course where I grew up. I proved to myself that I belong at this level. I've been saying this about not taking gimmies. It paid off so much. I missed 1 short putt over 5 rounds to win this. And, one of the things about no gimmies is I wanted to see what my level actually was. And the only way you can see what your level actually is if you play golf every round and you turn in your score. And if you hit one out of bounds, you hit the 3rd one from the tee. And if you miss a 3-footer, you miss a 3-footer. And, I finally feel like I'm a legitimate +2, which has been my goal. And to shoot, I think I shot 70 in the afternoon, second 18, down 4, ended up winning it on 16. So I was 2 under through 16, I should say. I'm just overjoyed. Again, you don't win things in golf, especially at my level. I'm not going to win a net event because my handicap's too low. But I would, in the past, hadn't won gross events because I hadn't been good enough. I finally won a gross event, and I know that I might not ever win this again. There's kids at the club who are getting better. Maybe the best player, guy who's won it a gazillion times recently, Danny Wax. Maybe he plays again next. I don't know, but My name's on that trophy forever. And the course has been around since 1948. We actually have a champions dinner. They started this year where all former club champions have a dinner. I'll be at that for the rest of my life. I genuinely feel like I won the Masters. And it was a weird one. I got back last night. My wife was gone. She was in Newark, flight hell. And she got delayed like 6 hours. So I just came home and drank by myself. That sounds really dark. I was on FaceTime with people most of the time. So that wasn't really by myself. But I wanted to celebrate. And I did. So dog mentality. I'm telling you guys, we've been talking about it all year. No gimmies, no mulligans. I knew it was gonna, and just having like a better relationship with golf and with myself and with my own golf game. I knew like being honest was gonna pay off, and it's paid off massively. This club championship at Birmingham Country Club is the one tournament that I've like actually dreamed of winning, because it's one I actually can win. Like, do I dream of winning the U.S. Mid-Am? Yeah. Am I good enough? No. But the stars aligned this week, and I won the club championship, and I proved to myself that I can do it under pressure, that I can play my best golf under pressure. And there was a lot of people around, I've grown up there. So people who have known me since I was 7, 8 years old told me how happy they were to see me win it for the first time. I've just never won anything before. I'm so gassed up, man. I found myself yesterday just getting these like pangs of emotion, being like, oh, did I close it out? And then I'd wake up, be like, oh my God, it's over. I won. This isn't like if I win the next, it's over. I did it. And they'll never be able to take that away from me. So confidence is at a sky high right now. Speaking of confidence, how about Ben Griffin? So he shoots 63 to win the Worldwide Technology Championship at Diamante in Cabo. He's got 3 wins on the year. The only other 2 players who have 3 wins on the PGA Tour season, Scottie Scheffler has 6, Rory McIlroy has 3, and Ben Griffin now has 3. And these years that we've seen, this year really that we've seen from Ben Griffin and to some extent from JJ Spawn winning a major, losing in a playoff in the Players, and Andrew Novak being up there so much, it's highly motivating for the non-blue chip tour pros, the guys who are not 25 and PGA Tour number 1, but guys who have been out there for a while and feel like, my breakthrough is coming. And Ben Griffin was not really on anyone's radar coming into this year. Now he's got 3 wins in the Ryder Cup. I think he's won like 11 or 12 million dollars this year. So his financial future has completely changed. This is why these guys keep grinding. It's why these guys keep grinding. They believe, and whether it's right or not, that they can have a Ben Griffin year, that they can improve marginally in certain aspects of their game, and that will take them to the top 10 level that Ben Griffin's been at this whole year. So it was an interesting tournament, a bunch of 61s on the first day. It was you get these guys on resort courses and they just absolutely beat it up. I mean, the best way you should go watch the video that I did with Jake Knapp where we went and played 9 holes at a resort course and he shot 5 under like breathing. I mean, you get these guys to a golf course that has fairways that wide and they're going to absolutely take it down. Big second place finish for Chad Ramey. He went from 123rd to 89th. Now there's only 2 events left, so top 100 is that magic number for a guy like Chad Ramey to keep his card. Also, Sami Valimaki, he went from 103rd to 76th, so basically locking up his cards. Nick Dunlap shot 24 under. Remember, wasn't that long ago that he shot 90 in the Masters and drove the ball insanely poorly the whole year. A lot of people were touting him this week because you get Nick Dunlap on a course where you almost can't miss with the driver, and he's pretty dangerous. Shot 61. He was actually 18 under par through 27 holes, and then only played. I gotta do the math. What's 72 minus 27? 45. Played the last 45 holes in 6 under, so a little bit of a disappointment coming in. Joel Damon, who we've talked about in another battle to save his full card, he finished tied for 40th, so he's 111th. He's going to need a couple huge weeks to avoid conditional status and a conversation that he doesn't want to have. Luke Clanton finished tied for 46th. So a little struggle for Luke. I mean, he's had 11 starts as a pro now after that incredible run as an amateur on the PGA Tour where he had 2 seconds. His best result in 11 starts since turning pro is a T29 at the Sanderson. So a little bit of a slow start. He gets all year next year because of his PGA Tour U accelerated. That's how he got to the Tour. So he got the rest of this year and he gets all next year. But definitely a little bit slower start than we anticipated. All right. Moving over to the DP World Tour. The Abu Dhabi Championship was won by Aaron Rai. It was at Yas Links. I always love that name, like Yas Queen, Yas Links. Oh, that sounded terrible when I said it out loud. That's really bad. That's really bad. I'm a little hungover. I won the club championship yesterday. Give me a little bit of a break. But Aaron Rai, maybe the nicest, I would say kindest guy on tour. Any conversation with him, he's so soft-spoken, humble beginnings in Wolverhampton. He's a Man United fan, though, not a Wolves fan. And another kind of a late bloomer. And what I like about Aaron Rise, he does things his own way. He wears, we got this tweet from Jamie Kennedy here. He's got the 2 gloves on. He's got iron covers, which is an amazing story. His dad saved up to get him blades when he was a young kid. I don't know if they were blades, but saved up money to get him, this brand new set of irons, and that he really couldn't afford, and he really wanted to take care of them. So he put iron covers on them, and it's a reminder of his youth and of a time when he didn't just get free everything, and it's kind of gives him a little bit of perspective, which I think is fantastic. And he's got these pink tees that he was using. He's the most 20 handicapper top player in the world, but a great victory for him. And he beat Tommy Fleetwood in a playoff. Tommy's been a menace this whole year. He's up to number 2 in the Data Golf rankings. Won his last start on that crazy tree-lined course in India, which was super fun to watch, and then losing in a playoff here. 1 shot further back was Rory McIlroy. So Rory is looking good to win another Race to Dubai championship. He widened his lead over number 2, Marco Penge. Also, I noticed they were trying to do this like rivalry thing with Rory and Marco Penge. Who hits it further and tail of the tape, and they paired them together. Very flattering for Marco Penge. But I don't think Rory McIlroy is really thinking about him before he goes to sleep. So the scenarios are as follows. Penge has to finish no worse than a 3-way tie for second, even if Rory finishes 50th. A Penge win means Rory would need to finish solo second to stay in front, so that could be interesting. The only other possibility is Tyrrell Hatton. He would need to win and Rory to finish below 10th. So if Rory just beats those 2 guys, he wins another Race to Dubai. Wow. So Rory's won the Race to Dubai 6 times, including each of the last 3 years. He won in 2022, 2023, and 2024. So if he wins it again, it would be 4 in a row. It would be his 7th Race to Dubai, and it sets up an interesting Player of the Year conversation. And we're talking beyond just the PGA Tour here, because if it's PGA Tour Player of the Year, Scotty's going to win it. But the world is bigger than the PGA Tour, and Rory McIlroy has done incredible things in the game this year. So Rory, if he wins the Race to Dubai, he'll have won the Masters to complete the career Grand Slam. He'll have won the Players Championship. He'll have won at Pebble Beach. He won the Irish Open in an incredible scene at home, best crowd roar of the year. He'll starred in a winning Ryder Cup team on the road. Can't really say he won the Ryder Cup, but he was a big part of that team. And then it would be another Race to Dubai. And on the other end, you got Scotty Scheffler, who won 6 times on the PGA Tour, including 2 major championships. So it kind of gets down to what you value. If you value the week-to-week consistency, Scotty's the guy. But that's not what Rory values at this point in his career. And he said this, if you just kind of connect the dots, and he said it pretty explicitly, like, he's not going to be the guy who shows up every week at 100% capacity with the same energy for every tournament like Scotty Scheffler does. They're just very different people. They're in very different stages of their lives. Rory has completed the career Grand Slam. Like he said, this is all gravy. I won the Brentwood Club Championship. I can relate. It's all gravy now for as long as I live. But Rory gets up for certain events, and at this point in his career. And if we think of the 6 biggest events in our sport, the 4 majors, the Players, and the Ryder Cup. Rory won the Players, he won the Masters, and he quote unquote won the Ryder Cup. Scotty got 2, so it's sort of 3-2. Again, it just goes to what you value. If you're a moments guy, if you're a Hollywood guy, I think 2025 you could say is Rory's year. He said the 2 things that he wanted to do before he retired was win the Masters and win a road Ryder Cup. He did both of those things. If you're a numbers guy, if you're a consistency guy, if you're sort of a eye test week to week guy, then Scotty is your guy. But it's an interesting conversation. It's an interesting conversation that I felt like Scotty got his nose in front when he won that second major, when he won the Open Championship in dominating fashion, like truly Scotty fashion. But Rory's had an incredible fall with the Ryder Cup, and now in good position to get it done over in the Middle East. So let's talk a little bit more about LIV Golf. So LIV Golf, they moved to 72 holes despite the literal name of the tour being 54. And, it's pretty clear why they're doing this. They want world ranking points. This more aligns them with the other tours. The conversation of, does this make them more or less likely? Does it have an impact on a potential merger? I guess it would probably make it easier if their events are already 72 holes, but I don't think this is really with that in mind. I think it's so that they can get world ranking points and appease their players a little bit and almost dig in further to the status quo that we have, where there's 2 competing tours and the best players in the world are split. And then this is what I said initially. It's like, what are we even doing here anymore? Because these 2 tours are sort of morphing into one another. LIV comes out with this massive big money events, no cuts. The PGA Tour responds with their signature events, which are limited fields, not as small as the LIV fields, but still smaller fields than we're used to seeing in tour events. And a lot of them have no cut, and there's huge money. And then LIV responds by, going away from, there are three sort of tent poles when they launched were 54 holes, shotgun start, and team golf. 54 holes is gone. Shotgun start, I think, makes for brutal television on Sunday. There's no like flow to the end of a tournament. You don't have the dynamic of a guy trying to post a number early and then the leader seeing someone making a run, but knowing, oh, he's played all the par fives. They still have par fives to go. You got guys who are winning the tournament and there's like no fans out there on the seventh hole. It's just a weird scene. And the teams thing 4 years on, I think, is a miss. So eventually it's just like, oh, this is a big money tour. What are we doing? What are we doing? 29 months on from the framework agreement and still nothing. And these two tours are almost becoming the same thing, which makes it even lamer. Like, at least, LIV before, it was like, we're super different. We have I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of the shotgun start, honestly. And then at that point, it's like they're really, the only difference is they play a few more events outside the United States. Maybe that's what we're headed toward, where they become almost sort of indistinguishable, and the pain or the sort of PR ramifications that we saw a couple years ago continue to be further and further in the distance, and eventually they just make some LIV events that are international or PIF sponsored international events. I don't know, but it just feels lame, and LIV has to sign some players. They got to sign some players. So LIV does their player acquisition and stuff in the offseason. Last year, their class was headlined by Tom McKibben, who's a great young player. He won recently, but not a huge star, especially when you look at the class before had Tyrrell Hatton and John Rahm, so that was a little bit different. So they got to bring some juice, because simply rolling out that same roster of guys is not going to move the needle. I'm not sure anything would move the needle now as far as who they're realistic likely to get. Minwoo Lee was kind of the one who everyone was looking at and reported. I don't even know if there were solid reports or more just rumors, but he shot that down, posting like, I'm not leaving with a gif of Tiger and Adam Scott. The PGA Tour leadership was very Minwoo. So he's staying. It's just going to be interesting to see who goes, because are they still offering that huge money? I mean, the reason that people didn't go last season, or the top quality guys, I'm sure, is because the offers just weren't there. The same $100 million, $80 million offer, even $50 million offer for guys who hadn't accomplished that much on the PGA Tour. I don't know that those are still there. So very interesting times. But on the flip side of that, we are sort of seeing the counterfactual to the LIV PGA Tour debacle play out on the LPGA Tour. So the LPGA announced that it will be co-sanctioning an event with the PIF. Basically, it's going to be it's part of the PIF Global Series sponsored by Aramco in Las Vegas. So it's an LPGA event in the United States that's just sponsored and kind of has the Saudis' name all over it. This is, I think, how they wanted to get involved with the men's game. We heard reports of they sent this letter to Jay Monahan wanting to sit down, and the letter was ignored, and then it became sort of like a what measuring contest between Jay and Yasir, and it became very antagonistic and combative. But the LPGA is not in a position to say no to an influx of money. It's just they're not in the same position that the PGA Tour is in. There's not the same cash running around. They're not the same level of established. So they've sort of tiptoed into an alliance with the Saudis, and now that's been formalized with this event. And it's just amazing how much shit all the PGA Tour players got for going over, whereas with the women, it's like, take the check where you can get it. And I, put my hand up. I was one of those who, said some things that I regret about the PGA Tour players when they went. So hand up there. But it's, at a certain point, in these sports that don't have as robust an ecosystem as men's professional golf, like tennis, you see the Saudis are all over tennis. They're going to have a tournament there. They just had this like Kings exhibition with Djokovic and Sinner and Alcaraz, and the golfers kind of took one for the team. They really got the brunt of it, where all these other sports, Saudi's involved in like basically every sport now. But it was the golfers who kind of fell on the sword for everybody else. One other thing I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong about. I used to be a big anti-rollback guy, rolling back the golf ball. And I'm talking about this because there's more proposed changes to the old course at St. Andrews, it's the old course. It is sort of the barometer for classic golf, the way it should be played. And they just keep having to build new tees and keep changing the course. And, I got to a point where I just kind of get it now. Like we can't keep doing this. Not every course has uh, unlimited land or unlimited resources. And I understand there are other ways to combat distance. Trees is a big one of them. I'm a huge supporter of trees, but it does seem like putting a cap on this or making sure that it doesn't continue to get longer and longer. Because I mean, I can see I'm getting longer and longer with all the new stuff. You know, bunkers at Brown Country Club, where I am the club champion, that you didn't used to be flyable. Now you don't even really think about them anymore, and I haven't gotten that much stronger. So, yeah, I just don't like to see courses having to continually make changes to challenge the best players in the world. It seems like a much simpler, and I know this is going to be difficult for the ball manufacturers, but you know, other sports have limits. You know, there's no metal bats in baseball. You know, there's a limit or you know, rules on how much you can inflate the football. Like there's just sports change all the time to adapt to modern times, and baseball's done a really good job of it. You know, I saw baseball, the ratings for Game 7 blew out the ratings for Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You know, I think the simplest thing here is the rollback that's been proposed. So I've sort of come around on that. Not saying that there aren't other ways to combat distance, and not saying that the current game is horrible. You know, I'm not one of these like all the skill has been taken out, but I just think the easiest thing is to limit the equipment in some way. Now, whether that's the ball or the driver head, but courses can't keep getting bigger. They can't. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention about the LPGA. So the new chief sales and partnerships at the LPGA is a woman named Monica Fee, who before this worked at LIV Golf. So there's clearly ties there. I expect those ties. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see a LIV women soon, or some combined with the LIV stars and the LPGA stars. It feels like, you know, they're probably not going to make money on it, the Saudis, but doesn't seem to be the goal, and doesn't seem to be an obstacle, because they're losing money like crazy with LIV, and yet they keep going. All right, that's it for now. I'm the champion still. Hasn't changed since we started this video. Just wanted to check in with you guys, and yeah, I'll talk to you all soon.